Committee on Finance and Appropriations will come to order. The clerk will call the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Just to explain to the members of the House of Delegates, we have a number of your bills that are identical to Senate bills, but they didn't necessarily pass unanimously. So we are going to go first through that block of bills one by one that are identical to Senate bills that may or may not have passed unanimously. And we will not call on you to speak to those bills. We will simply vote on them. April?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first bill, House Bill 1430, Delegate Goditis' bill, it has to do with the industrial hemp extract approval as food or an ingredient in the regulations. It's identical to Senate Bill 918, which passed the Senate 40-0. The recommendation was to report.
Is there a motion?
Move to report, Madam Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded to House Bill 1430 be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, no.
13 ayes, 0 nays.
13 ayes, 0 nays. The bill is reported. April.
The next bill, Madam Chair, House Bill 582, Delegate Guzman's bill, has to do with collective bargaining for public employees. It was reported here from Senate Commerce and Labor, 12 yes, 3 no, and after they conformed it to Senate Bill 939. So it is now identical to Senate Bill 939, Senator Saslaw's bill, which passed the Senate 2119. So the recommendation on that is to report since it's conformed to Senator Saslaw's bill.
Is there a motion? Been moved and seconded that House Bill 582 be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Eight ayes, 3 nays.
8 ayes, 3 nays. The bill's reported. April.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 975, Delegate Guzman's bill. This has to do with the ratio of teachers to English language learners under state funding and the standards of quality. It was reported here from Education and Health, 9 yes, 5 no, and they conformed to the staffing standard in the House bill to Senate Bill 910, Senator Hashmi's bill, which passed the Senate 23 yes, 17 no, with the appropriation clause. Both budgets contain funding, but at different levels in the first year. But the recommendation would be to report.
Is there a motion?
Move the bill be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 975 be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
10 ayes, 2 nays.
10 ayes, 2 nays. The bill's reported.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 1508, Delegate McQuinn's bill. This has to do with the minimum staffing ratio of school counselors. It was reported here from Education and Health, 13 yes, 1 no. They conformed the counselor standard in the House bill to Senate Bill 880, Senator Locke's bill, which passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no. Both budgets contain funding, but at different levels in the second year. Therefore, the recommendation was to report.
Move to report, Madam.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 1508 be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
12 ayes, 0 nays.
12 ayes, 0 nays. The bill's reported.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 714, Delegate Reed's bill. This has to do with the Commonwealth Energy Policy and the Virginia Energy Plan. This was reported from Senate Commerce and Labor, 11 yes, 2 noes, after conforming to Senate Bill 94, Senator Favola's bill, which passed the Senate 21 yes, 18 no. There are additional funds for DEQ in the introduced budget to cover the cost. I do believe, however, that the patron has requested a line amendment.
Delegate Reed.
Madam Chairman, there's not an alignment right now. Senator Favola and I have agreed to work out any differences in conference.
Oh, okay, fine. All right, is there a motion on 714? It's been moved and seconded. The bill be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
11 ayes, 2 nays.
11 ayes, 2 nays. The bill's reported. Next is House Bill 1251.
Madam Chair, House Bill 1251, Delegate Torian's bill, has to do with balanced billing of emergency services. It's reported here from Senate Commerce and Labor, 13 yes, 2 no, after they've conformed it to Senate Bill 172, Senator Favola's bill, which passed the Senate 36 yes, 4 no's. It is now identical to that bill, and so the recommendation is to report.
Is there a motion? It's moved and seconded that House Bill 1251 be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays. The bills are reported. Next, we have a House bill similar to a Senate bill that passed.
Madam Chair, House Bill 1509, Delegate McQuinn's bill, has to do with the Virginia Food Access Investment Program and Fund. It was reported here from Senate ACNR, 14 yes, 0 no. It's substantially similar to Senate Bill 1073, Senator McClellan's bill, which passed the Senate 40 yes, 0 no, with the appropriation clause. And ACNR established a stakeholder work group. The fiscal impact as appropriated, the Senate budget provides $0.7 million, the House budget provides $5.8 million. Both sides are funded at different amounts, therefore, so the recommendation would be that you could conform it to Senate Bill 1073, and then the budget conference could decide the final amount.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
It's been moved, and is there a second? That the bill be conformed to Senate Bill 1073. All in favor, vote aye. No. If you, all in favor of this amendment, say aye. Opposed, nay. Aye. Okay, is there a motion?
Move to report as conformed.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported as conformed. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays. Next, we have some bills that are related to discriminatory practices. We have 2 of those. April, can you do?
Madam Chair, the first bill, House Bill 1663, this is Delegate Sickles' bill related to prohibited discrimination related to accommodations, employment, credit, housing. It adds discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, or status as a veteran in causes of actions. It came here from General Laws, 9 yes, 2 no. It's identical to Senate Bill 868, Senator Evans' bill, which was amended to be the same by the House, to be the same as House Bill 161 before. So now that it's identical and it passed the Senate 27 yes, 13 no's, and so the recommendation would be to report.
Is there a motion? Move to report. It's been moved and seconded the bill be reported. All in favor, record your vote aye. Opposed, nay.
14 ayes, 1 nay.
14 ayes, 1 nay. The bill's reported.
Madam Chair, the next bill, House Bill 1418, Delegate Watts' bill, has to do with workplace harassment and civil actions by private parties under the Virginia Human Rights Act. It was reported here from General Laws, 8 yes, 4 no, 1 abstention. It has an impact of about $270,000 per year, which is included in the House budget, and is related to the bill we just heard, Senate Bill 868. It deals, though, with discriminatory practices, employment, and other areas. And because there was no Senate bill, there was not a recommendation specifically from staff.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Senator Peterson.
Okay, I'm just looking at this bill for the first time, and it looks like it's basically an overlap with Title VII. I also wonder how it interplays with the bill that we just passed on employment discrimination. I mean, typically harassment, sexual harassment is treated as a form of discrimination.
Delegate Watts, would you like to speak to this? Your bill is somewhat different than what we
Yes,
had
it
had
is
with
somewhat
Senator.
different. It does not, generally discrimination often involves lack of hiring or firing, whereas this is workplace harassment. It essentially codifies what the AG's office procedure has been on these matters under EEOC, as well as then looking, and I would point you to all of the factors that are listed in the bill. These are the factors that the AG's office has used for the totality of circumstances that might be go forward as harassment. The procedures are the procedures that lead to something dated in writing with facts that go to, from the complainant to the respondent, and then very much looking towards mitigating the workplace circumstances. However, it is possible
Can I ask a
that
question?
it could go to court.
Senator Peterson.
Right, and I'm most interested in you said the AG is memorializing, I mean, Title VII is a federal statute. So what would it be memorializing?
If I could have Megan Healy also join me at the podium, I think her familiarity with this field would be valuable.
Great. Good evening, Megan Healy, Chief Workforce Advisor to the Governor. So this would be, we were working very closely with the other discrimination bills about that administrative process. So any employer under 15, from 5 to 15, would go through the administrative process of the AG's office. Anything over 15, a company that has over 15 employees would go through the EEOC.
Okay. All right, let me work backwards. Let me just start from where I started.
Senator Peterson.
We have Title VII, which are federal causes of action. And I understand we have state equivalents. And I guess my question is, we've had probably 24 different discrimination bills this year. And just from my lay understanding, they appear to overlap with each other to a great extent. Is this creating new causes of action? Is this creating a process? Is this creating an administrative process? I mean, for example, we just voted out in courts today a retaliatory, civil action for retaliatory discharge that Delegate Delaney put forward, which we've never had on the books in Virginia before. So I guess my question is, where does this kind of fit in all of these different discrimination actions?
That's an excellent question. So when you look at the cause of action, it's the same exact cause of action as Senator Evans' bill and the one that you just saw for Delegate Sickles. So it aligns to, and then basically workplace harassment is under Title VII, you're right, but it's a form of discrimination. And currently we don't have sexual harassment in the code, only for legislator training. Right? And so we just wanted to codify that on EOC guidelines as a form of workplace harassment. Sexual harassment is a form of workplace harassment, which is a type of discrimination.
Okay, further question?
Yes.
And I realize this is in finance, but sometimes I get the question, no one really asks questions about these bills, and I'm asking questions.
Fine, no.
Workplace harassment, this is not sexual harassment. This is not targeted at somebody because they're a member of a protected class. This is, I understand, workplace harassment. Well, maybe it is, I don't know.
It's workplace harassment. Sexual harassment is a type of workplace harassment. Workplace harassment is a type of discrimination. It's kind of like a tier of discrimination, the workplace harassment, and then sexual harassment is a type of workplace harassment.
And is it your testimony that there's already people being sued under Virginia state law right now for these types of incidents?
No.
No.
So we're creating a new cause of action.
Yes, specifically, so
Okay,
to answer
just
your question, yes.
Just start,
Yeah.
yes. So we're creating a new cause of action, and you say that this codifies what the AG is,
Under EEOC.
or well, the AG has nothing to do with the EEOC, that's a federal agency. The AG interprets state law.
So currently, if you look at any discrimination, the current cause of action code, not with all these other bills, is for discharge only. And so that is between 5 and 15 employees. AG's office oversees that. So with the new different types of discrimination bills, that they would, between employers with 5 to 15 for discrimination, they would go through the AG's office through the administrative process there. If it's over 15 employees, it can go through the EOC. So similar, Senator Evan?
Sure.
Senator Eben.
I think I might be able to help in that over 15 employees, Senator Peterson, is filed at the federal level.
Right.
And that less than 5 is not covered at all, and that this bill, I believe, would cover those at least who have 5 to 15 employees in Virginia, if I understand correctly.
Correct.
Yes, yes, Senator Sassel.
Do you use workplace harassment and workplace sexual harassment? And obviously, are they saying, is that what you're referring to when you say workplace harassment?
Under definitions, the bill defines sexual harassment, where it's specifically talking about those acts. And then the next definition, which is workplace harassment, says that workplace harassment includes sexual harassment. So it's broadly defining harassment under all the protected categories of race and religion and so on, but it's including under workplace harassment, sexual harassment, defining it in addition, because it has different elements.
Madam Chair.
Well, I mean, you're not calling harassment. Somebody trying to get them calling the underperforming employee. That's not included.
No, and again, all of the components that are listed are the totality. So there's no one in isolation that would define harassment.
Senator Newman.
Madam Chair, on line 140, it looks like this bill, punitive damages, has snuck back in. We've taken punitive damages out of a number of these bills. I was wondering if we were going to leave it in this bill when we've taken it out of others.
I did not follow the question.
The question
To
is
take it out,
why?
Did we take it, sir?
In the other bill, we aligned it with the cap for damages within other Virginia damages, the same cap, which I believe was
350,000 for punitive damages, yep.
Max.
And I was told before the Senate General Laws Committee that when it doesn't specifically say 350,000 or make specific reference to it, that is the default amount.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think to Senator Newman's point, in the pregnant worker fairness bill, which only deals with whether you have to make reasonable accommodations for a pregnant or lactating mother, for that specific cause of action, we did remove punitive damages. So I think that is the bill Senator Newman is thinking about. But in the broader, the omnibus bill that included adding sexual orientation and creating a new cause of action for employment discrimination, that's the bill that Senator Evans just talked about, that there's a cap on punitive damages.
Okay.
If I might just remind the committee that this has already been through general laws, which dealt with the substance and the policy.
Well,
We're here to discuss whether or not we have $267,000 a year.
Madam Chairman, I move to report.
Madam Chair, I move we put the clause on the bill before we report.
Is it not
Okay,
in the package?
it's been moved and seconded. We put the clause on the bill. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Move to report as amended.
It's been moved and seconded to report as amended. All in favor, record your vote aye, opposed nay.
12 ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention.
12 ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention. The bill's
Thank you, Madam
reported.
Chairman. Thank you, members.
Okay, next we have some redistricting bills, which again, this is not, the substance is really not the concern of this committee. The concern is there the $1.1 billion? And indeed, it is in both budgets. However, I understand there's an amendment that needs to be put on. Senator Barker?
Right, so if someone says.
Yes, Madam Chair. We just had a meeting of the Privileges and Election Committee on the House side, which did pass the constitutional amendment related to redistricting and the budget, the ballot language for the provision that would be on the ballot in November. I've talked with Delegate Price. She's had a bill that was sort of trying to walk a fine line between being helpful if it was part of if the constitutional amendment passed, but also being a standalone commission if the constitutional amendment did not. She has a substitute which I think makes sense to trying to sort of make it fit with the constitutional amendment, and I'm supportive of her being able to move forward with that, although it's not part of the money thing. And so what we do this is have that. This is 1256. House Bill 1256.
Thank you.
And so what we would do is adopt the substitute that she has, and then be able to pass that on tonight to get it to the floor. And she and I are going to, along with some others, are going to look over that over the next day or two and make sure that it makes logical sense and everything. So we've dealt with all the issues.
And Madam Chair.
Yes.
And I just have one additional point. It also helps to, by working in tandem, it helps to resolve some of the timeline issues that put the integrity of the elections at risk for whatever the mechanism is, providing a fail-safe also if the amendment were not to pass at referendum.
Okay, we have a substitute in front of us. Is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt the substitute. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, substitute's adopted.
So Senator Barker or Delegate Price, can you tell me what the differences are in the substitute from when we passed it out of P&E?
Yes, so basically it allows for the work to begin July 1st. And so there would be, under any circumstance, whether the amendment failed or passed at referendum, or if the voters fail to pass it or pass it, if the voters were to fail to pass the referendum, then the advisory commission would go forward. And if the voters were to pass the referendum, then the work that had been done prior can continue under the new body that was established at the passing of the referendum. And that's how it helps, Madam Chair and Senator Deeds, that's how it helps with the timeline issue that we're with the language of the amendment. Oh, and I'm sorry, I do want to clarify, because I do remember, Madam Chair, that when Chairman Deeds was overseeing the conversation, there was mention of some of the parts of the bill 1256 that would have been unconstitutional if the constitutional amendment were to pass. And there are some amendments there to take those parts out so that we wouldn't have an unconstitutional bill before us.
Have we adopted the substitute, Madam Chair?
Yes. Yes, we have. My suggestion would be that we pass all four of these bills in block, if you'd like, to get them to the floor where we can decide which is the best. Is there a motion to do?
I make a motion to report the 2 Price bills and the 2 Van Valkenburg bills.
Second.
In a block. So.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 1255, House Bill 1256, House Bill 758, and House Bill 784 be passed in block. All in favor, please vote aye.
Sorry.
Opposed, no.
Fourteen ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays. Okay, the bills are recorded. We now are moving into the sign-up list. There are other House bills. So first on the list is Delegate Hurst.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Before you is House Bill 624. That is now in the nature of a substitute as it came from Senate General Laws and Technology. It is our understanding in talking with the Office of Attorney General, who also sent an email tonight to Charles on staff saying that the substitute before you, because it is a recommendation charge to the Division of Human Rights, would no longer have a fiscal impact, even though it was appropriated in the House version of the budget.
Has somebody already, is it the substitute that's in front of us, or do we need to adopt the substitute?
The substitute should be before you, Madam
is
Chair,
before you.
having been adopted in general laws.
Okay, so we have the substitute before us as the bill, and there is no fiscal impact.
according to the Office of Attorney General,
So
correct.
is there a motion?
Move to report.
Been moved, is there a second?
Second.
And seconded that House Bill 624 be reported. All in favor, vote aye, opposed nay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the
Thank
committee.
you. Next to sign up is Delegate Poindexter.
13 ayes, 2 nays.
Oh, I'm sorry, 13 ayes, 2 nays.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. House Bill 1176. 1176. Topic is forensic nurses. You might recall, late 2019, we received a study written by Mrs. Stephen Weiss, who's here tonight, by the way, regarding the status of forensic nurses in the Commonwealth. And we're finding that the victims have to travel many hours often to find a forensic nurse for examination. The problem is that we only have 16 of our 122 licensed hospitals that even have a forensic nurse. And we only have, well, we don't have 200 in the entire state. Third part of the problem is that police officers, other hospitals, providers, and victims don't know where the nurses are. So I'm not trying to bring you a solution to that big problem. What I'm trying to bring to you tonight is a way to get that information out to the victims and the police, the hospitals, the providers. A salient point to that study was the number of victims is estimated at about 40% that do not report their assault. And it is believed that a good number of them do not because they do not know where to go for an examination.
Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair, this is related to a Senate Bill 373 that I had that it is in the budget. Well, this might not be in our budget. A bigger issue related to this, related to creating a coordinator at the state level for the forensic nurses, and there's a huge shortage. They're at, what, 2% of our hospitals?
Yes, sir. And I'm not trying to address that. There's other legislation to do it. I'm trying to put a Band-Aid on it to help the assault victims right now.
I was trying to ease the path for you because it seems to me that this is something similar to what I had. It might be worth putting the calls on this and passing it.
Okay, I would point out that there is funding in the House budget.
Yes, ma'am, there is.
We didn't have the identical bill, that's the only thing. So
No,
if you want-
budget, the House budget contains.
The clause, it's been moved and seconded, the clause be added. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Madam Chair, it's kind of frustrating because I think the same people that came to you about this bill came to me about the bill I introduced, and an identical bill was put on the other side for my bill. I'm not sure why we didn't have another collate something.
I came up with a bill with myself due to some personal issues back in the district with some women that didn't know where to go, but I agree with
It's
you.
been moved and seconded, the bill will be reported as amended. All in favor, vote aye, opposed, nay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays. Bills reported. Delegate Simon.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have House Bill 1522, which is asset forfeiture. This requires a criminal conviction before the police can seize your assets and turn them over to the literary fund. I think the fiscal impact is that people aren't sure what that's going to actually cost the literary fund. You're asked the Commonwealth's attorneys, they say it won't cost anything because they say they don't do this anyway. But that's the bill, Madam Chairman.
Delegate Simon, I've been on the Crime Commission for many, many years, and about 5 years ago, they did an extensive study and recommended against changing the asset forfeiture. It was a hotly debated topic with law enforcement. And I believe Senator Gorman may remember that as well.
I do recall.
But that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now is now. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move we report this.
Okay. Second. It's been moved and seconded, House Bill 1522 be reported. All in favor, vote aye, opposed nay. I don't know.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
Just play with your food. I appreciate that, Senator Norman.
15 ayes, 0 nays. The
Thank you,
bills are
Madam Chair.
reported.
Thank you, members.
Save time now.
Let's see. Delegate Delaney.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I have a couple bills with you this evening. If we could start with HB 808.
House Bill 808.
And you just heard a bill about forensic nursing in the Commonwealth. I know several of you have carried legislation that dealt with this issue. I was the person who'd originally asked for the study by the Joint Commission on Healthcare. I used to work as a sexual assault crisis counselor, and I know how important it is to have access to forensic nursing in Virginia. So there was a number of really great pieces of legislation that came out of that commission, but it also started a conversation with our hospital systems about the need for more regulatory framework that surrounds transfer services and billing and just some of the many issues that can be a real detriment to both forensic nursing programs and those seeking that type of care. And this bill seeks to address a number of those issues that do deal with establishing a task force that's going to put together a regulatory framework that builds upon some of the recommendations that this bill proposes as well in terms of developing transfer plans and a lot of other details that we've worked really closely with our hospitals to create, because right now we do have a very dire situation where a victim of sexual assault or domestic violence may travel to up to 3 hospitals and be turned away from each one. That reduces their likelihood to finally find their way to one where a forensic nurse is on site. If they do, so that reduces reporting. If someone gets a forensic, or if someone gets a rape kit done by someone who's not a forensic nurse, the likelihood of that being thrown out in court goes up. So you have just an inaccess to justice. So this really starts to tackle that problem. It allows our hospitals to begin implementing some of these much-needed improvements to the organization and the structure, and it has no fiscal impact. So we hope that you pass the bill.
Thank you. The fiscal impact kicks in 2023 after this biennium.
Yes, Madam Chair, and so that there's a projection that they're going to need more hospital inspectors to be able to look at the regulations that we're putting forward now. So we are asking that we allow the task force to begin its work so that it can make its recommendations, that the hospitals can begin now. In other states that have attempted similar regulations that we're proposing here, it has taken them a few years to get on board. I hope that we're going to find that the projected cost of those hospital inspectors is going to be a lot less than what was guessed upon for this particular budget or for the next budget, but at this point, it's no cost to this biennium, and I think it's really important that we allow our hospitals the ability to get started on this.
Okay, since there's no fiscal impact, is there a motion?
Move to report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. House Bill 808 be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays. Bills reported. Do you have a second bill?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. I also have HB 547 before you today. This bill establishes the Virginia Energy and Economy Transition Council. We all know that there is a goal that our administration in Virginia has set to be free from fossil fuels by the year 2050. And I put forward this bill because I felt that, one question that we just haven't had answered in all of our discussions about this is how are we coordinating with and supporting the regions of Virginia whose economies are going to be most impacted by this transition. And that's not to say that we're transitioning from fossil fuel to green energy or something else. It's the fact that we're transitioning from fossil fuel to something else and allowing those regions to have a seat at the table to come together with, some of the other stakeholders, the chambers, Go Virginia, the energy companies that are going to be, where their jobs are going to be affected, to really set a plan and say, here's what we'd like our economy to look like, here's our strategy moving forward to meet this deadline.
Okay, Delegate, here's at least my dilemma. Neither the House nor the Senate has included this in our budgets. I mean, it's obvious we didn't because we didn't have the bill, but the House didn't either. So there are several things we could do. Maybe the kindest would be to carry it over till next year.
So, Madam Chair, I mean, we had not received a fiscal impact at all. I think we probably did put in a budget amendment, but I don't think it actually went through appropriations on the House side because up to that point, there was no fiscal impact. So, I'm at the will of the committee. If that's, I guess I'd like to make the case for the urgency that we are pushing for a very aggressive timeline on this economic transition. I don't know if putting the clause on the bill and maybe giving me the opportunity to see if this is something that the administration could take a closer look at and see if they'd be willing to support any economic impact of having or financial impact of having this council created. We don't know the outcome of that, but I guess that's one thought to buy a few more days.
Madam
but
Chair,
it's up to the committee.
I don't think that's a bad idea, but the reality of the situation is you've got to be talking about the conference committee right now. Because it wouldn't be fiscally responsible for us to pass something that's not going to be funded in the budget by the end of this week. So that's the reality. If the conference committee is willing to consider something brand new that's not in either budget, then we can put the calls on it and go forward. But if not, I think we're going to probably have to carry it over.
And I completely understand that, Madam Chair. I think my case would be more if the administration in a scenario where they might be able to say this is a cost they could absorb and that they could host the committee or the commission at no cost to this biennium budget. But again, I'm at the will of the committee. So,
is there a motion? Yeah, Senator Evan.
I'm going to move to carry it over, but I wanted to ask if also there's an appropriate body to review this in the interim, this concept, and get back to us. I don't know what commission that would be. Is there someone?
I'm not sure we really need, Madam Chair, I'm not sure we really need anybody to look over. There's a desperate need. This is a good idea.
Okay, then I'll just limit my motion then to carry over for the year.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. The bill be carried over till next session. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays. Bill's carried over.
thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members of the committee.
Yeah. Delegate Mullen.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Good evening. Good evening.
So I have House Bill 666, which modifies the definition of dead body.
You said 666?
That's appropriate.
I would be lying if I didn't say that we got up to like 6:58 and we thought we could wait a few minutes and get something in. This, Madam Chair, has a Woodrum amendment on it and was covered in the House budget but not in the Senate's.
Okay,
And
we
so-
didn't have a bill like this.
No, Madam Chair, you did not.
I don't have dead bodies.
I'm just curious what you're trying to get at. Does this have something to do with?
So, Madam Chair, so we had a pretty horrible murder case down in Hampton a few years ago that involved a mother who killed her child and then left him in the trunk of the car for about a decade.
Oh.
And when the trooper was stopped, the body was found and it was desiccated and still in a diaper and clothing. And when we tried to prosecute the original matter, we found that you could not prosecute under the grave desecration and corpse desecration statute in Virginia because it said recently deceased. And so this removes recently.
Okay.
Are
there any questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Did you prosecute under just homicide or
So there was an all pros, and then there was a release, and then there was a later charge of second-degree murder, which was pled to manslaughter. And there were a lot of difficulties with the underlying murder case. And if there had been a way to be able to proceed under the grave desecration statute, there would have been another opportunity for prosecution.
Okay, is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 666 be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays. The bill's
Thank you, Madam
reported.
Chair, and thank you guys for all your hard work being here so late. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Delegate Bourne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, we have House Bill 873, which seeks to set up a state discovery process in criminal matters.
Okay. Are there, this is consistent with what the Supreme Court is attempting?
It builds upon that. It does have a few differences. For example, it has timelines by which lawyers have to provide the discovery to the other side. It does that by classification of the crime that's being prosecuted.
Okay,
So there are some differences.
I don't want to get too much into the substance.
No,
You've already been through.
and that's why I just
Thank
left
you.
it as, that's what it
Thank
was.
you. Okay, are there any questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator
If you
Edwards.
look at it, this thing has got so many timelines. I would hate to have a case under this if that ever becomes law. Now, I understand it's not going to go into effect as the Supreme Court comes up with, keeps their discovery rules in effect July 1, the ones that are supposed to be in effect July 1. Is that right?
Yes, that's the enactment clause of Madam Chair, I'm sorry, excuse me. That the senator is right that the enactment clause means that it would only take effect should the Supreme Court fail to enact their rule, which, as many lawyers in the room know, has happened on occasion over the last 13 years.
Madam Chair, that there have been rules that have been decided upon, but they have not been formally enacted by the Supreme Court. And once that happens, this legislation will become moot. So I think I stated that accurately.
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion? Are there further questions? And if not, is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. House Bill 873 be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
Madam Chair, I
Bill's
thank you and the
reported.
committee for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I have two bills before you. Maybe we'll begin with House Bill 1034, if you'd like.
Okay.
House Bill 1034 establishes the Local Food and Farming Infrastructure Fund and Grant Program. We have worked with VDAX on the substitute as it came through the Senate, and Jewel has given us a great framework with which we can both support rural and urban farmers. This allows the political subdivisions to be able to apply for these grants to help the small farmers get their product to market quicker by allowing them to invest in farmers markets, food hubs, joint processing facilities, and packaging facilities.
Madam Chair, I would,
Senator Deeds.
noting that this is funded in the House budget but not the Senate budget, I would move that we put the cause on this bill.
It's been moved and seconded. The clause be added to the bill. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Our staff points out that there is an existing fund that does the same thing. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, the proposed fund in Delegate Rasool's bill is similar to the existing Agriculture and Forestry Industries Development Fund. It's targeting a slightly different angle here in that it is providing grants without the job creation metrics that come along with the existing APHID grant. Perhaps one option might be to establish a pilot program with budget language using funding from the existing APHID grant program.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What we did with the substitute from the original language is to be sure to work with FEDAX to ensure we're targeting an actual niche and need that VDAX believes that we need. And so with this kind of more kind of humble approach, to have a limited number of grants that people can apply for. We hope that this will be able to help some of the rural and urban farmers be able to get some of their goods to market faster. So VDAX believes that this fits a nice little niche that they would love to fill.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Hanger.
Madam Chair, we've already discussed this a bit in conference. I think what
Oh, have
Jason
you?
was saying, we can do something in the budget. So with the clause on it, I move that we report it.
Okay. Did we put the clause on it?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
We did, thank you, I'm losing track. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported as amended. All in favor, vote aye, opposed, nay.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays, bill's reported. You have another bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could call your attention to House Bill 1355. House Bill 1355, what that does is it establishes formally a task force around what we call community schools. The importance in not only having the task force, which helps to build off of language that was in the budget last year, which produced a initial framework. This helps for localities who would like to build these centers and as they develop schools for the future. For example, here in Roanoke City, where I represent, we have an elementary school that is going to actually have a primary care clinic, a dental chair, a mental health office there. So what this does is purely permissive if localities want to be able to apply for the designation. It will actually help, I think, in not only proliferating a good idea around it, but also there's new Title IV funding from the federal government that allows them to apply for the student support and academic enrichment grants as well, Madam Chair.
Okay. Is there an amendment proposed?
Madam Chair, staff had suggested an amendment to, the legislation already refers to the Virginia Community School Framework, which was published by the Department of Education this past October. We're suggesting an enactment just saying, in implementing the provisions of this act, DOE would adhere to its recommendations and then subject to any further development of those recommendations.
Sound very amenable to that.
Okay. Is there a motion on the amendment?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we agree to the amendment. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. And now the bill. I do want to say this is a hard concept to get across, but to the extent I understand it, I think it's a really exciting prospect.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there a motion on the bill?
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded the bill be reported as amended.
Right.
All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Fifteen ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you,
Bill's
Madam Chair,
reported.
members of the
Thank
committee.
you. Delegate Ben Falkenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. House Bill 761. It's a bill that we heard in P&E about preclearance and bringing preclearance voting rights to the Commonwealth of Virginia. And so I want to be respectful of your time. So I don't know if you want to talk about the fiscal part. It's in the House budget. With the delayed enactment that we put on the Senate side, we would obviously need half of what was in the budget. And then with the amendment that Senator McClellan put on, I'm not sure there actually is a budget impact, but because it got delayed 2 years. But I'm willing to take any questions that you have.
Madam Chair, what this bill basically does is that since part of the Voting Rights Act was struck down by the courts, it would create a state level preclearance for changes in election law. And the bill had a delayed enactment when it came to us, and we put it back another 6 months to make sure we could get a handle on what the long-term fiscal side of it would be. And the other changes we were ready for. But that's essentially what the bill does. Now, it's not under the way it's, with the amendments we passed, I think it doesn't go into effect until January 1, 2022.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay, then
Madam
is there, yes, Senator Peterson.
I asked the delegate this before. I represent a jurisdiction that had been release or no longer had to get pre-clearance back in the 90s. And so for those jurisdictions that had already, gotten basically under the U.S. Department of Justice had already said, okay, you're fine. Are they brought back into the statutory scheme, or are they still allowed to?
Yeah, the short answer is it would depend. If you look at lines 18 to 20, where it defines what a covered jurisdiction is, it says covered jurisdictions mean any county or city that is determined pursuant to subsection E to have a voting age population that contains 2 or more racial or ethnic groups, each constituting at least 20% of its voting age population.
Okay. Well, further question.
Senator Peterson.
Now, let me put this in a couple different ways. A racial or ethnic group, for example, my area is probably 20% Asian, but that's broken into probably 2 different language-speaking groups. My wife is Korean. Our children are half Asian, half white. How do we all fit into this?
Yeah, if you go to lines 37, 37, 38, it defines racial minority group means persons who are Black or African American, American Indian or Alaska Native, Asian, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander or of Spanish heritage. Which is, so if they identify as Asian American, it would fit under that 20%.
They all count as Asian, Jennifer tells me. Well, one of them's 8 years old, so I don't know.
Well, wouldn't that,
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Wouldn't that
Senator
just be
Urban.
based on how the census form is filled out?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So,
Which
Madam
is-
Staff, could you remind me of what the fiscal impact is at this point?
Madam Chair, the House budget had included about $160,000 general fund per year, but as they mentioned, that they pushed the costs out a bit. So on this bill, if you chose, you could report a report with a clause, but again, the fiscal impact has been pushed forward.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator
Looks like we
Hager.
would pick up 1/2 of a year in this current budget, right? About $80,000, so we do need the clause.
Okay, would you move that?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded, the clause be added. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, is there a motion on the bill?
Move to report as amended.
It's been moved and seconded, the bill be reported as amended. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Eleven ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention.
11 ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention. The bill's reported.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Guzman.
I don't have to do that. I'm learning.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I bring House Bill 581. It's asking for $24,000 to provide all state employees to get training on cultural competency for protected classes in the Code of Virginia. The required training will encompass a 1-hour online cultural competency training module provided by the Department of Human Resources. Part of the training includes a strategy to create an inclusive and equitable culture, strategies to ensure diversity and inclusion in state employee recruitment and hiring, and strategies to provide equitable, competent services to the people of Virginia as we are becoming more and more diverse, Madam Chair. The current protected classes are race, ethnicity, disabilities, gender, and religion. Other protected classes that get added to the code will be added to this training. This bill comes from General Laws and Technology with bipartisan support, and I hope it's the will of this committee to pass the
Thank you.
bill.
This is one of the least expensive we've seen in a long time.
Yes.
Least expensive. It's
And
$24,000.
very good cost.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Senator Norman.
Do I understand that this is going to require every state employee to do this?
Madam Chair, I would say to Senator Norman that yes.
And Madam Chairman, and do you expect them to do that on their free time or on their job time?
Madam Chair, I would say to Senator Norman that this will be part of the regular training that is done during the job time. We will be onboarding. It will be a time frame for employees that are already hired in between January 1st through April 30th of 2021. And for the new employees will be part of the onboarding training.
Well, Madam Chairman, isn't there then an indirect cost on this shadow time when they're not working to do this?
Madam Chair, what I would say, Senator Norman, that according to the Department of Office Management and Budget, they will consider just the cost of the training. Training is part of the process that you need to do your job in a more proficient way.
Okay. Senator Marsden.
Thank you. Delegate Guzman, we're developing a program here, a training program, is that correct? It seems to me that there would have been dozens of these things created in other states, in municipalities, everywhere you go. What would be different about what we would come up with based, as to what's already out there that we could take and use? And it would just be a matter of reviewing, doing a sort of a literature review to determine what's the best one to go with.
Madam Chair, what I would tell Senator Marsden is that by developing this bill, we were working closely with the Department of Human Resource and Management for state employees. And indeed, it's available for different localities, but we don't have the form of this training for state employees. So this will be exclusive for state employees.
Any further questions? Is there a motion on the bill?
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded. The bill be reported. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Ten ayes, 4 nays, 1 abstention.
10 ayes, 4 nays, 1 abstention. The bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
I believe that completes those that have signed up. We do still have House Bill 1250, Delegate Torian's bill. This is a bill dealing with community policing. We did not have a comparable bill. It does have significant fiscal impact. It's thank you, you read my mind. It's been moved and seconded. The clause be added. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, clearly this will be in budget conference, so, okay. Is there a motion on the bill? It's been moved and seconded. The bill be reported as amended. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Fifteen ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays, bills reported. We have one other bill, House Bill 887, which is the Speaker's bill. And it deals with the Able Savings Trust Agreement. And I believe that Virginia 5, whatever the number is, 29, are there any questions about the bill?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Chairwoman Howell, distinguished members of the committee. My name is Sonia Valadez. I'm Government Relations Director for Virginia 529. I'm here to speak in support of HB 887. In essence, the bill would eliminate state recoveries from Achieving Better Life Experience, ABLE accounts, trust accounts for Medicaid and CHIP enrollees, except where federal law requires. This bill would, in essence, do two things. It would eliminate the recapture of Medicaid funds from ABLE accounts, and two, it would allow the beneficiary who is preparing for expiration to designate a survivor where those remaining funds can be left to. This does not override federal Medicaid rules. Those federal Medicaid rules still apply, and there are approximately 10 other states who have implemented similar legislation. The average account for a Virginia Able Now account holder is approximately $4,000, and there are about 7,000 accounts in Virginia.
Thank you. Are there questions? Is there a motion on the bill?
Move report.
It's been moved and seconded. House Bill 887 be reported. All in favor, record your vote aye. Opposed, nay.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays. Bills reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I would ask staff, does that complete we have two more? Oh. Yeah, please. We got two more. We got two, I'm sorry. And one is Betsy Carr's. And I told her she could leave. I forgot. And I don't remember exactly where the bill is.
Page 10.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. It's been moved and seconded, the clause be added. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Clause is added. It's been moved and seconded, the bill be reported as amended. All in favor, vote aye. Opposed, nay.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays, the bill's reported. Okay, is there another bill?
Edmunds 1633, would that move you down?
Yes.
Madam Chair, House Bill 1633, Delegate Edmunds' bill, has to do with the school loan interest rate subsidy payments eligibility. It came here from Education and Health. It has no fiscal impact. However, it changes eligibility for assistance. It modifies the existing interest rate subsidy program for the school construction or modernization loans by the Virginia Public School Authority to require the board to make subsidy payments on the basis of above average or high fiscal stress as determined by the Commission on Local Government in its annual fiscal stress report, rather than the current practice of using the composite index or local ability to pay. Staff's recommendation was to carry it over and study that in the interim as to the concern of changing one portion of how you use the composite index might.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, the bill be carried over. Any discussion? All in favor, vote aye. Those opposed, nay.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays, the bill's carried over. Now are we finished? Thank you. Thank you, committee. We're done for the year.